This is the second exercise that I want us to do that relates to the sermon. So my sermon has 2 points today. The first one handled the special status, and our Ask Us Anything question will take care of the next one. This is the Ask Us Anything question that I have for us today. It was submitted a couple weeks ago. We're finally going to get to it. It says, Christianity has been the reason why the Salem Witch Trials, the Crusades, women's oppression, and the Palestine-Israel conflict occurred. Why should I join a movement that have justified these events? Because of this, is it okay to just believe in Christ but not follow the church? Okay, so there's a lot in this question. Let me tell you how we're going to tackle this one today. I can talk about 5 things, and I'll go through them very quickly. Okay. So the first one is the ultimate reason these things have happened because of Christianity, or is it because of God? Oh, thanks. I texted you. Can you bring me plates? Care about a pie.
Oh, okay.
Thanks. Okay, so look at the question, right? The question says, Christianity has been the reason why these things happened. Now, if you're a Christian, okay, if you are a believer, we've been talking about the sovereignty of God. That's been the whole entire point of Tulip, is that God is totally in control over our salvation. And as Christians, we believe that God is in total control over the entire world. So a hard question that everybody has to wrestle with is God responsible for evil that happens in this world? It's a hard thing. And I think we have to say that no, God is not responsible for evil that happens in the world in the sense where he's guilty of it. But as Christians, we do have to say, yeah, well, God is in control over all of it, and he allows these things to happen. So there is kind of a dilemma that we have there, and that's something that you just had to wrestle with. At the end of the day, can you say that God is in total control over everything that happens in the world, over everything that happens in my life? Here's the second point I would like to talk about here. Second, can you replace these things with any other thing, including the crucifixion of Christ? So, this question lists a lot of things, and for time, we're not going to go through all of them, but you don't have to, right? Because you can just replace any of this and just say, Christianity has been the reason why this bad thing happened. So why should I join a movement that justified this thing? And is it okay just to be a Christian but not follow Christ, right? You can replace this stuff with literally anything that happens here in the world. Christianity has been the reason why pastors in the church abuse their authority and people get messed up at church. So does that mean I shouldn't go to church? Can I just follow Jesus and not go to church? Okay, so you can see how you can just start replacing that stuff. And so I'm not sure if listing out every single thing is the issue here. Third, do Christians really continue to justify what you're saying? So I do. Okay, so like me today, 2024, Aaron Lee, Christian. I don't justify any of these things. I don't endorse any of this, and so I think it's sort of a little bit unfair to say that, hey, why should I join it if this stuff is all justified? I don't justify those things. I don't think the Bible justifies those things. So when you look at stuff that happens in history, you have to be able to say, all right, what does the Bible have to say about that today? Has Christianity made any progress? Has there been any consensus as to, this was wrong? And I think for all these things, people would say, this was wrong. Now, again, we're not going to go to all of these things. But I don't know, it just seems like a very blanket statement to say, oh, did Christianity really justify these things? And I would say no. Okay, and then here's the fourth. Thanks. Here's the fourth point I think we can talk about is why should you even be a Christian at all? Okay, so here's the question, right? Why should I join a movement that has justified these events? Okay, that's skirting the issue about why somebody should be a Christian in the first place. Christianity is not about these things that happen in the world. Christianity is about God forgiving us for our sin And so if I can say that, yeah, this is all sinful, I still want to be a Christian, is it possible for God to forgive any sinful things that happened in these things? Then that's something that you got to deal with. Okay, the issue is not like, should I join Christianity because of what they do in the world, versus should I be a Christian because of what Jesus has done for my sin? Okay, so that I would say that this is like not really like the issue about Christianity and having faith in Jesus. Just stuff to think about here as we talk about this question. And then finally, do I have to go to church? Right? I think that's really the heart of the question, right? Is like, because of this, okay, right? Because of all these things, is it okay to just believe in Christ but not follow the church? So I think what this means is like, not joining the church, not being a part of the church. I think that's what following the church means. Okay? And so let's just address that part of the question, because I think that's the easiest part to justify. And then I think once we address that, then everything kind of falls into place. I do think it's a good question, because I do think that there is a lot of bad stuff in the world, and Christianity either takes the blame for it or gets blamed for it, or is correctly blamed for it. I'm not saying that Christianity as a whole is perfect, but I do think that we need to, as Christians, be confident in the good things that we do in the world, while also owning up to maybe some of the bad things that we do in the world. And this is how I tried to like tackle that third point, I think. The second one. Like, can you just replace all of that with anything? And I think, yeah, you can. Like, Christianity has been the reason why this bad thing occurred. So the heart of the question is really like, why should I be a Christian? Why should I join a church if these bad things happen? And this is how it relates to my sermon today. In the sermon today, I'm going to say that sometimes it's easy for us to ignore parts of the Bible, maybe because we're blinded by other things. Maybe it's something that happens in the world, maybe it's something that happens in our life, and sometimes we choose not to look at certain parts of the Bible. Maybe we don't know all of our Bible to begin with, but also I think it's easy for us to just be blinded by things and just forget about what the Bible actually says. And so this verse that I'm going to put on the screen, it's really hard to argue about like why you should be part of the church or not. Okay, this is the verse. Okay, Hebrews 10:24-25, very famous verse. It says, "And let us consider how to stir up one another to love and good works, not neglecting to meet together, as is the habit of some, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day drawing near." So this verse very blatantly says, look, man, you got to meet up with other Christians. Now you can say like, oh, well, does that mean I actually need to join a church, or can I just like meet up with my Christian friends? And I would say that's like that. I think that's the wrong attitude here, right? The correct attitude is here, not neglecting it, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day drawing near. So it shouldn't be just kind of like this, oh yeah, like I'll meet up with my Christian friends when I can, and if they're open to it. No, you need to be doing this even more so, because Jesus is coming back soon. We need to be encouraging each other. I don't think we need to take a minimal approach to meeting together. I think we need to take a maximalist approach to meeting together, because of the fact that Jesus is coming back soon. Judgment is coming upon the world. We need to be meeting and encouraging each other in the faith. So it is kind of a hard stance that I'm taking in terms of like, hey man, you got to come to church. Yeah, I think if you are a true Christian, meaning that if you in your heart believe in Jesus, I think you should be baptized. I think that you should become a member of the church, so there is accountability with us, so you're put under the discipline of the pastors and the church as a whole, the congregation. And I think that's what it means to belong to a church family. Belonging to a church family does not just mean attending, but it actually means membership in the church, because then the pastors can exercise church discipline, then you have opportunities to serve, then you have reason to say, hey, these really are my brothers and sisters, because we're part of this church family. That's what church membership is. Okay, so to reiterate the question, Christianity has been the reason why these things occurred. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I do admit that the church has been a part of bad things in the world. But even despite the bad things that